Right, okay then. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Waterloo Road Rewind. Well, I've got a sort of new segment, which I guess we're kicking off with today. I've seen a lot of people in the comments and sort of people who watch this content, this podcast. They sort of would like the Monday and Friday upload or Monday Thursday upload. And don't get me wrong, in an absolutely perfect world, I would love to say, yes, you'll get two episodes. We'll have one on the Monday, one on the Friday, especially with the week by week. Like at the moment, Waterloo Road is over 250 episodes, which means 250 weeks, which at that trajectory means that it would take me about 5 years to do all of it, which I'm going to do it faster than that. I think I've got some time off this coming week. So basically, to give you a bit of context, I am basically the room that's got my PC and my setup for my YouTube channel and this podcast. We're doing this room up. We bought a house about 6 months ago. We've been going room by room, sort of modernizing it. It was like it belonged to an old lady previously, so it very much feels like a 60s, 70s house, which we're pulling into the 21st century. So the room that's got my YouTube setup in is basically coming down. Hence why I'm taking a break from YouTube. I don't know how long it'll take until I have everything back up. So I've got a few little YouTube projects which should be up. So at most it'll be maybe 6 weeks. But then I'm taking the month off where there's not any stuff on my YouTube, which we're in currently. And then from September I'll have a few uploads, and hopefully by the second or third week of September, my setup should be back and we'll be good to go. So in the similar vein, I'm trying to get all this Waterloo Road content up and ready to go, so that there's not a missed week like I missed it kind of a few weeks ago. Well, it still came out that week. It was just a slight delay. From when this comes out, which is Friday the 7th, I think. I've got 2 weeks worth of content, but I'm going to by the end of the week I should have at least 4 or 5 more episodes. I'm going to make sure that I don't want to disassemble my setup until I've got podcasts through until October. So I want to comfortably see the next 2 months through. So if there is a slight delay, it means you guys don't have to miss a week or two. But in that in that similar vein, basically, I want to give you guys more. I really appreciate the support that you're giving me, so I want to do as much as I can with this podcast. So I know I've got the specials, which see out the end of arcs, so we'll have one in a few weeks for in between series 2 and 3, and then after 10 episodes of series 3, we'll have another one. So the first Friday of each month is a character of the month. This is sort of going to be an interactive section where I'm going to put polls out. I'm going to encourage you to comment what characters you want me to talk about as much as possible. Something I've been thinking about is that to some degree I've been glossing over some of the deeper character stuff. So I kind of want to have the chance to talk about the characters in more depth and give more of an opinion and say, oh, this character arc's good, it's bad, the stories, etc., etc. And if there's any background information on the actors and stuff, I'll just put little tidbits in. So that's going to be the play. Before I crack on with Lewis Seddon, the other little thing I wanted to say is that eventually I want to get to a point where I can have bi-weekly uploads, or at least I want there to be points where I can. So what I mean by that is that there may be a few weeks at a time where we have 2 episode reviews per week, and then it might go back to a once a week for a few weeks. Basically, I'm going to try to do it in waves. So I'm going to try to do it where I just watch a load of episodes across a few days, do a load of reviews back to back, and then when I can, maybe have 5 or 6 weeks worth of 2 episodes per week. Because like I said, in a perfect world, the way my life is going and the way things are at the moment, I kind of want all the episodes to be done by sort of by December 31st, 2027. So in the next 18 months, I kind of want to get the show done. But we'll see. That's kind of what I'm striving towards. It's taken me 3 months to do 20 odd episodes, but I'm really gonna push for it more. I'm gonna have days where I just spend the whole day watching 5 or 6 episodes and doing 5 or 6 reviews. I just want to get it all out there and all done. I'm not trying to speedrun it. This is a good thing that I'm doing and I really enjoy it. I just that's where I'm at with it. I was debating putting a little 5-minute, like I've done at the beginning of this segment, basically being like, here's where I'm at, this is what I'm doing. But I figured, we'll do it at the start of this one. If it means the Lewis episode is a bit longer, then hey ho, just the way it is. Alright, so Lewis Seddon. First introduced in Series 1, Episode 3. He is the main villain of Series 1, has a recurring sort of background role in Series 2, and then is kind of support staff for the first half of Series 3, exiting in Series 3, Episode 10. Now, before I go more in depth, there's something that I want to mention that I think is important and prudent to mention here. So, the actor who played Lewis was arrested for domestic abuse and spent some time in prison, and has since wielded a machete and has spent some more time in prison. The domestic abuse is awful. I will never condone that. I'm not trying to glorify him. I'm not trying to put him on a pedestal. I literally want to talk about the character because I think the character is really interesting. I'm not trying to seem disrespectful to that kind of awful thing that he did. I just wanted to mention it, and I want to say that I in no way respect the actor. He seems truly awful. This is just about the character of Lewis Seddon. So, wanted to get that out there. What the actor did is awful. Definitely deserved prison time, and it's not a good thing. But again, we're talking about Lewis and not the actor. So, in that similar vein, he finished his time at Waterloo Road earlier than intended. The writers had more planned for him, but due to the actor being arrested, it didn't come to fruition. Now, I have a few theories about where the character would have gone. So, it seemed like they were trying to redeem Lewis. I don't personally think he can be redeemed. I think because of what he did to Kim, or the implication of what might have happened to Kim, I don't think we're at a point where Lewis Seddon can be redeemed, should be redeemed, or this is really a conversation that should be had. To me, Lewis is not a nice person. I mean, yes, he gets better, and I'm not arguing that you can't get better, but I think there are some things that you just can't forgive, or you can't improve upon. I think there's certain actions and decisions that you make as a person that no matter how many good deeds or how much of a new leaf you seem to have turned over, it can't remove or undo what's already happened. It's there's a bit in The Walking Dead where Negan basically says to Maggie, look, Maggie, this is the world that we live in. Obviously, I regret what I did to Glenn. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't have done it, but this is where we're at. If you need a soldier or you need support, I'm here. And Maggie basically says to him, Negan, I respect how far you've come, but I'm never, ever going to be able to completely forgive you and trust you and believe in you after what you did. And to me, that's kind of the vibe. I think had you removed that Kim bit and he just got kicked out for throwing the petrol bomb, as awful as that is, I still think there is an argument to be made that some level of redemption is possible, especially given how sort of gritty Jack is. I think Jack probably would have eventually forgiven him, but Kim won't, and she shouldn't. It's what he did was awful. So he leaves quite randomly between episode 10 of series 3 and episode 11. I might be wrong, but I don't believe there's any reference to where he went. It was abrupt. I'm guessing, I don't know. Let's say scripts had already been written, but they must have had to scrub him out or something, or maybe they just, given what the actor did, maybe they just thought, oh, just toss it at this point, or just he's just done. So there's no point referencing Lewis. I said this to my mate Luke quite a while ago, because Luke was the one who actually told me what happened to Lewis Seddon, because we were chatting about like characters from the original show, but not like teachers that we thought could come back into the reboot. And I said I thought it would be cool if Lewis came back. But he said, oh, do you not know? And basically told me all of this. Because Lewis is like the original bad boy. And again, on a similar vein, we were talking about who are like the who's the biggest bully character or who's the worst character. And it was always Lewis fitting that bill. That's what Luke said. I would personally put Earl higher, but Lewis is probably a close second. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've often speculated that Lewis may have been the one with the gun who shot Maxine if he stayed. I always read the Maxine and Earl relationship as very much a Lewis Maxine relationship. So my reading may have been that you could still have the Kelly family pop up, but you don't have Earl. So I think you have Marley, you have Sambuca, you have Denzel. They all rock up and they're like the new kids. It's the Kelly family. But I think that like Maxine and Lewis rekindle their relationship. Lewis believes that he's come a long way. Maxine is like, you know what? I can see it. You're working in the kitchen. Your Asbo's been lifted. You turn Jed Seddon in, like this, that, and the other. But I could see Lewis getting really clingy and getting very attached to Maxine. Like, I could see, like, jealous boyfriend type vibes. A bit like how Earl kind of sees Maxine. And I think that across the 7 episodes or so of Series 4, we would see Lewis's jealousy ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. I think that the gun would come into it. I don't think it would have been the beginning, like the school shooting like we had in episode 1 of Series 4, but I would imagine it along the lines of maybe it is a different Seddon. Maybe there's a different cousin or a brother who supplies Lewis with this gun, and that's that. I'll be right back. I think I can hear a knocking. Just 1 second. So yeah, sorry about that. I think those plot beats would be very similar. So a Seddon family member supplies Lewis with a firearm. He finds Maxine. Maybe the whole discussion of a baby comes up again, a bit like with Earl. Maybe Lewis thinks, oh, well, if we have a baby that, like, she won't leave me, we'll be together forever. And then Maxine discovers that Lewis has had another child. So, like, that could be a factor. And then she's like, Lewis, I can't do this. Lewis is like, I love you, Max, and pulls out the gun and he shoots her, and that could be the end of Lewis. Like, that was in my mind. That's my headcanon. That's where I think the show was going. If I ever meet any of the writers who worked on the first few series, is like I could be wrong, but I believe that one of, if not both, the show's creators have sadly passed away now, so I wouldn't be able to ask them. But I think that would be a question that I would have. So maybe one day I can reach out to a source who would have some knowledge, and maybe they could tell me what the Lewis plan was going to be, but that's my own headcanon. So the beginning of the show is kind of interesting, and I said this in the early episodes of the podcast. So at the very beginning, we have Dante. He bullies someone on the bus. Andrew starts shoving his weight about. His dad punches Andrew in the face. Dante takes the car out and gets arrested for dangerous driving. And then he, at the end of episode 2, ends up being charged and goes to a young offenders institute. At which point there is no like bad boy in the school. So episode 3 introduces Lewis. So part of me thought maybe Lewis would just be like a gap filler until Dante got out, and then we wouldn't have seen Lewis in series 2, which again I always think is a possibility, but I think Lewis was quite a popular character. It's just the stuff he comes out with. It's awful, but it's like when they're having their meeting to determine what happened between him and Kim Campbell. He was like, "Oh, she tried bringing me aside so she could snog me in that," and like it's clear that he's just lying and bullshitting. Like, yeah, I think Lewis is interesting because he's like, in an academic sense, he's not particularly intelligent, but I would argue that he's got quite good leadership skills and is quite resilient. Like across the whole series, yeah, he bullies and he belittles people. He does awful things, like he's a homophobe and he makes a pass at a teacher and stuff. So he's not like a good person, but he's always got these legions of like guys following him. Or even when they were doing the whole house captain thing when he was first introduced, he had all of the house following him. He believed there was monetization from it and things like that. And yeah, like he's disruptive and he's just a bit of a dumbbell, but like it's something quite like, not like charming. Like I wouldn't say he's charismatic. He's just amusing. Like I think when him and Janice are paired up against each other, it's quite humorous. And in some ways, he does feel like the perfect foil for Andrew. And I kind of think that's why they went that kind of heavy hitting with Lewis. And I think it's why a lot of the scenes between Lewis and Andrew are quite amusing. Like when Andrew has to take Steph and them to the museum, I think all of the scenes between Andrew and Lewis in that moment is really funny. Because you got to think of it like Andrew is this like posh boy. He went to like, I'm going to assume that his background was in like private education, and then he worked at a private school. He's used to like students wanting to learn, being engaged with lessons. He's not used to this like rough and ready environment of Waterloo Road, and being thrust in as the new deputy head, trying to implement what he would consider the norm for these kids must have been quite jarring and different for him. And then one of the first difficult students that he has to deal with is Lewis Seddon. Lewis is just like rough to a T. He doesn't want to learn. He just sort of messes about. He bullies other kids. Like Lewis, in the nicest way, is the epitome of like student that you would see from like a school like Waterloo Road in the noughties. I had a brief stint where I went to a school a bit like Waterloo Road for about 8 weeks. And yeah, there were kids like Lewis there. Like it's very accurate. So it would have been 2007, something like that I would have been there. And yeah, it was scary. So yeah, I can get the vibes. I can see what they're going with, and that was the vibe for sure. And then like you think Lewis is done because like Jack expels him, and then they have that meeting, but the meeting rules sort of in favor of Lewis, and just claims that he should just get like, I think it's like a 3-week suspension, or it's basically nothing for what Lewis did. And Jack doesn't stand for it. And then we see what Jack does. Like he basically proves that Lewis's mother's running a scam and is embezzling, and lets the parents know, and ever so subtly signs the note from a teacher, which in itself is really funny, and just it sums Jack Rimmer up really, doesn't it? And then Lewis's mum is like, I should have drowned you at birth and then like dragged you out of the room. So I think in that moment, like the audience is meant to somewhat feel for Lewis, because clearly Lewis has had quite a horrible upbringing from quite a rough family that doesn't particularly care. It's more like they're just cheating and lying and scamming to make money. Like they don't really care. But I think it's difficult in that moment to feel for a character like Lewis, considering, you know, Lewis made a pass at Kim, and Lewis has been bullying kids all year. He's been making homophobic remarks, and he's just generally not a very nice bloke. So it's difficult to sit there and be like, oh, I feel for you, Lewis. It doesn't connect. And then series 2 is also kind of interesting because like you think that Lewis is gone, and then quite early into the series, Lewis is there. But it's like Lewis is prevalent for the first 3 or 4 episodes. Then he doesn't appear again until like the last 2 or 3. And even then, Lewis isn't really the threat at that point. It's Jed Seddon and Gemma Seddon. So at the beginning, Lewis is trying to lift his ASBO, so he gets a job working at a restaurant. And he gets annoyed because Dante won't give him a tip, despite the fact Dante's got a lot of money. Dante should have just left the £20 and had it as a write-off, but no. Lewis goes to his house, he has a party, he and his mate trash it, and then steal the keys. And then him and Maxine go back to the house, and Maxine tries to rob Dante. And yeah, but I think that Lewis's reaction to it is like, oh God, we've gone too far, when Maxine starts stealing. It's interesting because I don't know if Lewis just sees it as an issue because it's not him that specifically did the crime. It's like the attachment is enough to get him in trouble. And Dante goes after him with a pipe, which is quite interesting. So yeah, it's kind of series 2 is them trying to redeem Lewis, but I don't think Lewis can or should be redeemed, as I said at the beginning. I think Lewis is really, really far gone at this point. I think you can make him better, and I think you can comfortably get him to the point that he's in at series 3. I don't doubt that, but I don't think that, like, even if they didn't do the old Kelly route, even if, like, Lewis, I don't know, started talking to some of the, like, difficult students and tried setting them on a good path, I'm like, yeah, it's character development, but it doesn't fix what he did. So, and then there's the whole guy who's attacking young women. Lewis is at the wrong place at the wrong time, gets accused, and then it turns out to be Kevin. And then you see the smug look on Lewis's face as Kevin's being brought in. Again, it's like they're trying to put Lewis in a more kind of heroic position, but like Lewis isn't a hero. So again, I find that bit of writing a bit baffling. Is what it is. And then at the end of the series, Lewis gets in on the drug trade. So Jack gets annoyed because Jed and Gemma Seddon set up the food van like outside Waterloo Road. They're also selling drugs. After Lewis screws up and the police get involved, he demands his money. So Jed takes him away and beats him up. At which point Lewis is like, oh no, screw this, and basically tells Jack everything and tells the police everything, getting Jed arrested. Jed then confronts Jack, and we know Izzy gets stabbed. But as a result of Lewis's actions, Jack allows him a job in the school kitchens. I mean, it is quite a good way to keep Lewis relevant on the show, but even then it feels like a bit of a weird transitional period. I think it jumps the shark a little bit. I think, say Lewis had been helpful for the first 2 or 3 episodes. Like, what if Lewis in the first episode was laying about the school because he had nowhere to go? And then episode 2, he actively helped Jack with something. Then episode 3, Candice is kicking off because there's no support in the kitchens. So Jack's like, oh, Seddon, you want to make yourself useful? Get in the kitchen. And then you find out that Lewis has got a bit of a flair for it. And then Jack's like, oh, I'll keep him on as like a school cafeteria worker. Like, that could have been it. I think that's more natural than just Lewis giving some throwaway dialogue, being like, oh, yeah, because I saved his life, Rimmer let me work in the kitchen. Like, and then he supports Dante when Chloe gets abducted, and he's just sort of there. He doesn't really do a lot. It's like, okay, maybe he's been such a big character for 2 series as they were giving him a break for 10 episodes and then they were going to do more Lewis. But like, he just kind of dwindles into insignificance or unimportance in the background. Like, and that's sort of where it goes. So, yeah, I mean, normally for other characters, I probably will talk some more, but like, Lewis has got 30 episodes. Well, he's not in 30 episodes, he's in 20 odd of them, but like the last 10 episodes that he has sporadic appearances, he drastically loses relevance. So really, across 20 episodes of the show, he's got some level of relevance. Yeah, I mean, had the actor not done all the horrible things, I would have been really interested to see what they would have done with Lewis. I don't personally believe he could have been redeemed, not in the same way that like other characters are, like Finn Sharkey or Shuey Weaver. I think that he's just sort of too far gone. But yeah, no, let me know what you think. What do you think of Lewis? Do you think he can be redeemed? What are some of Lewis's points that you'd like? Just let me know. Also, I want to hear your opinions on this new segment. You happy with it? Any other suggestions? And I want to hear what character you want me to do in the future. Me and my friend Luke might tackle a specific character together next. So what I might do is I'll record what me and Luke have got. But if there's a character that you guys really want in the meantime, I might have that be whatever character you guys want be the September character, and then what me and Luke record could be the October character. So let me know. As I said, first Friday of the month, we're going to have our character deep dive. This one was a bit rocky, a bit kind of ropey. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, I feel like I've talked about Lewis enough now. So this has been Waterloo Road Rewind. You've had Ollie, and as always, I'll catch you next time.